What's up, everybody? Dr.Profit with my man JJ. As always, we keep finishing one leg short of these beautiful parlays that we're cooking up for these primetime games. And yesterday might have been the worst one of all. We needed Stephon Diggs under 20.5 longest reception to cash us out for almost plus 500. And what was his longest reception? 21 fucking yards. So we're coming back with a vengeance today. We got Monday Night Football, Falcons at Eagles. Eagles are traveling back from Brazil. Falcons have Kirk Cousins, who looks like he can't walk every time he runs a play. This is going to be a fun game. So let's get into it. JJ, how we doing?
I don't even want to talk about it after last night.
Bro, you got screwed yesterday between that and the Justice Hill one. Like, I didn't even take those plays. Like, it hurt me.
Yeah, that's just the variance. I had 2 hooks yesterday off of 2 drops.
Oh, I forgot about the Tank Dell one, too.
Tank Dell would have been like a 75-yard touchdown. And then AD had like an easy one. After all this time, couldn't get the ball. Then he finally gets the ball in like a little 10 or 15-yard play. Hit his hands and just, yeah, that sums up yesterday.
Yes, it was tough. I think the worst one, just to wrap all that up, was CeeDee Lamb. I needed 93 yards from him. He has 90 with 8 minutes left in the second quarter. See, we're not talking about a third wide receiver, a second tight end. We need 3 yards from one of the top wide receivers in the game. Not a single yard for 2.5 quarters. Unbelievable. Enough bitching. We got Monday Night Football. Let's talk about it.
Cover the main injury. A.J. Brown is out with a hamstring injury. They haven't really, from what I've seen, I haven't really seen who is going to start in his place, but I'm guessing it's going to be Johnny Wilson because that's who he is behind on the depth chart. I don't think he's going to be like a huge factor in the passing game. It's going to go to the other receivers in Jahan Dotson and Devontae Smith. I'm guessing Devontae Smith is probably going to catch possibly an AJ Terrell shadow, but I'm not sure on that one because probably going to keep Devontae Smith in a slot. I'm not sure how good of a slot corner he is, so he might be able to avoid that a lot of the time, but Jahan Dotson's probably going to be playing that flanker spot, that Z. I forget, Mike something is going to be his matchup. Blanking on the name there, but he only had 1 target last week, and his role should expand significantly this weekend. I like him a lot here. Dallas Goedert, obviously, his role is going to expand. We'll see what Saquon Barkley does because the Atlanta defense is pretty good against the run. They allowed the 3rd fewest yards after contact. So that is something to look out for. But, I mean, overall, this offense is probably going to look a little different than what we saw last week.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to have to. When you have a guy like A.J. Brown, who I think is legitimate argument for a top 5 wide receiver in the league, Devontae Smith probably going to see like 12, 13 targets. But still, Jahan Dotson's going to get some work. They've talked about him pretty nicely through the coaching staff and just team reports, beat reporters watching the camps. I think he's going to be the undisputed wide receiver too. And then Dallas Goedert always does well when A.J. Brown's out. Now Saquon's in the mix, so we'll see how the usage is split. But I mean, there's only you're realistically looking at 4 guys that are going to get touches.
What do you see on this Philly defense side?
On the Philly defense, they got Vic Fangio, which we've known for years now. What he likes to do is run 2 high safety pre-snap, and then a lot of times he likes to transition into a cover 3 disguise after the snap. It works out nicely for us because what he does in those scenarios is he keeps 2 safeties deep, and then he has a lighter box, which makes the middle of the field open, and he puts a lot of pressure on the linebackers. The only issue with this Philly defense is their linebackers are not good. They've never been good. That's part of the reason they brought Fangio in, was because they wanted to bring in a coach that knows how to coach the linebacker position. But we're only 2 weeks into the season. This is his first season. I'm not expecting that to be a big jump yet. And as far as the passing game, Nakobe Dean is a good running, Nakobe Dean is a good linebacker in the run game, not so much in the pass game. That middle of the field, that was a weakness in prior years, is still going to be a weakness in the pass game. So I think Pitts and Ray McLeod are going to be big factors in that scenario. And with what we saw from Kirk Cousins last week and his lack of mobility, I think they're going to try and limit the underneath game more and force him to make what could be dangerous throws. And I think that's going to lean more into Ray McLeod's wheelhouse because looking back at the film, pretty much every one of his routes were past the sticks. And then Kyle Pitts was running the same route, but 10 yards shallower. So if they're going to cover that underneath route, it's going to be a lot of Ray McLeod settling into those zones a little deeper down the field. And I can say that confidently because we just saw it last game against the Steelers. He led the team in catchable air yards by a large margin. He led the team in targets, and specifically against single high looks, he was by far the best in yards per out run, targets per out run, all that stuff. So the only thing that could possibly be concerning for him is he was last in the depth chart between the main four of Mooney, London, and Pitt and route share. But after I think it was the first quarter was over, his route share was still above 70%. That's high enough for me. He's the starting slot receiver. I don't want to stress myself out overthinking anything. So Ray McLeod is probably the target in that offense. As far as some of the bigger names, Kyle Pitts, like I mentioned, I think will be more of a focus in limiting those easy throws to him for the Philly offense. But if they switch up and play a little deeper and keep everything underneath and they do cover those McLeod routes, then Kyle Pitts is going to be in for 6-7 receptions. Drake London, I like. I think he's one of the more underrated receivers in the game. I just don't know if this is his matchup. We don't really know if Kirk Cousins can really make those tough throws to the outside and deep yet. And I think that's where London really shines. And same thing goes for Darnell Mooney. So even though they're on the field a lot, they'll win their routes. It's still to be determined on whether Kirk Cousins can make those throws yet. And lastly, the one everybody probably wants to hear about, Bijan Robinson. Now, for the run game, Philly in week one, their stuff percentage was super high, but their explosive rush rate allowed was also really high. So you could say, oh, just take his longest rush, or oh, he's going to break off from 20, 25 yarders to help his rushing prop, which may be true. It is Bijan Robinson. But Vic Fangio was coaching the Dolphins last season, and they allowed almost no explosive runs. Since the linebacker core for the Eagles aren't as high, or aren't as good at least, I don't know if we'll see the same effectiveness in the run game, but we only have 1 week of data to work with. As far as the data, probably tells me to fade. As far as what I see with my eyes, I truly think it could go either way. I think the defensive line for Eagles is one of the best. So it comes to, can the Atlanta offensive line block? Because if Bijan get into the second level, we're probably going to see multiple 20, 25-yard runs. But is the offensive line good enough to get into that second level? So I'd probably fade the run game because I want to see more, but I don't think whether you target it or try and take unders, I don't think either one's a bad play, and that's why I'd probably fade it. I just talked for a lot. JJ, you got anything else?
Nothing else as far as that Atlanta offense, but looking at their defense, we seen last week they ran a lot of cover 3 and cover 6, which combined for about 78% of their play usage on defense, which is pretty high. But they did lean more towards middle of the field close at almost 60%, which typically means it's going to be a single high. So forcing them to throw to the sidelines, but they found a lot of great holes on that offense. Oh, actually, no. Falcons were playing Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh did not throw to the middle of the field at all, but it sounded like that was their game plan. With the Eagles offense, I think they will try and throw a little bit to the middle of the field, but I think throwing to the outsides is probably going to be a lot better for them, which is where Jahan Dotson is going to come in. The defense got no pressure on Justin Fields, and Justin Fields had this, I believe, top 5 highest time to throw, which is in line with which is in line with what he did last year and previous years. That's always been his flaw of holding on to the ball too long. And the fact that you couldn't get any pressure on him is a big problem. So I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to have to run the ball that much, or at least as far as running scrambling. He'll probably get his little design rushes here and there, but the scrambling shouldn't be as high because the Packers did get a lot of pressure on him. I think it was at like 42%. Blitz, they didn't really blitz that much. Light box, they didn't really have much of a light box. Both are like bottom 15, more toward closer to bottom 10. But yeah, going back to that run defense, like we was talking about earlier, 17th in yards before contact, but third in yards after contact, and that's going to make it tough for Saquon Barkley. I think limiting Saquon Barkley is going to have to be a thing here, especially because, I mean, you don't want Philly to have the ball forever. And if he's able to get, 24 carries again, they're just going to flat out lose. That's not going to be the key to success here for the Falcons. So limiting Saquon, even through the extension of the run game, which is going to be screen passes, you're going to have to limit that. But explosive plays, they typically like to limit, but I think the Eagles will try to attack it. So that will be interesting to see because they do play cover 6, and cover 6 typically does give up big passing plays because you're not able to get that pressure on the quarterback, which we already seen with them last week. They didn't get any pressure on the quarterback. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, outside of that, I don't really have any like crazy like tidbits of data to go crazy with here.
I think if I'm the coach, the one thing my game plan is going to center around stopping the run because with AJ Brown active, you can't do that because then it's like, oh, we'll just beat you throwing 30-yard bombs to AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. As much as I like Jahan Dotson, with AJ Brown inactive, Devonta Smith can only beat you so much. So I'm stacking the box, I'm forcing them to throw, and I'm winning or losing that way. But when you have everybody active, that's part of the reason their run game is so effective because you can't stack the box against them realistically, normally at least, but now you can. So I think there's going to be a large emphasis for them on stopping the run and just living or dying, trusting their DBs. So I do agree. The hard part is the spread indicates that they're going to be winning and be leading the game, but if what we're saying is true, that the Falcons are going to be able to limit the run, and I think we could get a surprise from Kirk Cousins where everybody's overreacting week 1. I wouldn't be surprised if Atlanta can really turn this into a game. We have a parlay for you guys, as we always do. In every game that wasn't like a 40-point blowout, talking to the Bills and the Dolphins, we finished one leg short. We don't want to do that again. So we're going big. We're going Atlanta money line. We're going Jahan Dotson 40 yards. We're going Ray McLeod 40 yards. All of this seems very doable. Like I know they're long odds, but they all seem very doable, especially in a week of underdogs. What 9 of 15 underdogs have won so far this week? Why not one more? So we're going for, I think it's plus 2,100. I used a bonus token on this. If you don't have a bonus token, play responsibly, play it light. It is long shot odds, but I've been saying it every time that these parlays look good. They have, and they've come so close. We're so due. JJ, can you tell me any way that this doesn't hit?
All I'm saying is there better not be a hook. I'll tell you that.
No. If one of these guys finish at 39 yards, we're gonna have to do a giveaway or something because I can't keep doing this. I can't keep doing this to you guys. I know it's so painful to watch these miss the way that they have been. I'm tired of it. This one's got to hit. Other than that, thank you guys for watching. Good luck for tailing. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry if I've sounded weird. I'm a little bit under the weather, but good thing we got JJ to cover my back for me. Otherwise, let's have a day. Take care, everybody.